Well, hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to the season is over edition of the FutureSox podcast. My name is Ian Eskridge. Joining me this evening is James Fox. How you doing, James?
Hey man, what's going on? So what is it, 41 and 121? I lose track of these things. But they didn't it's not the all-time worst winning percentage though.
So at least we got that going for us.
Yeah. 5 of 6 down the stretch, all because of Grady Sizemore's charm.
Yep. He is the sole force behind
Yeah.
that nice little winning cluster, I guess you could call it, because it's not really a streak. I mean, I guess they won 2 at the end. So
Yeah. Him and Lenine Sosa. I didn't know how good that guy was in September. He was pretty good.
yeah, I think he hit like the last 3 weeks of the season. He was hitting like 400 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, that's good. I mean, I don't know exactly what kind of weight to put on that. I mean, they did play some fairly decent teams, so it's not like he was playing a bunch of pushovers or September call-ups even for from that point of view, like that used to always be the thing,
Right.
is that they'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, they're playing against September call-ups, but you don't even really have that so much these days, especially when
No.
you're playing guys that are fighting for playoff seeding and such.
Yeah, I mean it might get him a spot on next year's team, at least to start.
Yeah, I would think so.
Unless they spend a bunch of money on a second baseman, which I don't see coming. So
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I can't imagine. I mean, we've heard the comment from Chris Getz. We're not going to be working heavy in free agency, so I mean that's going to be one of the things that we get into tonight. Is exactly what do you think that means? I mean, we've talked about flip candidates and stuff like that, so we'll get into that a little bit. And we will also, I've seen it in the comments here. There will also be a. I will be reading as Jerry Reinsdorf here in a few minutes with that heartfelt letter that he sent out to his fan base. So, or
right on.
non-fan base.
Yes, exactly. Before you do that, can I address the people? Address something?
Please do.
Have you paid attention to my Twitter and my so over the last like 48 hours I've gotten involved in Andrew Vaughn discourse on Twitter.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
I don't understand. Like what are we doing here? Like 2019 comes around. I mean, look, I kind of wanted CJ Abrams, but I was like, I understand like Andrew Vaughn, he's going to be awesome. And then me and Mike did the show together for years, and we were big like Andrew Vaughn supporters. I didn't love the idea of like, them just like deciding to skip the minors and bring him up, obviously. But like Andrew Vaughn is bad at baseball. And there's no reason for the White Sox to pay him $5 million. There's just not. Like, it's a negative WAR first baseman with a WRC plus of 98. And he's going to make about $5 million in arbitration. And people keep coming back to me with like, and look,
they're not going to let him go.
And it's not even, and they might not, but they should, they should. There's no reason to pay him that. But like the amount of people that kind of like don't want them to because of 17 homers and 70 RBI. Who's going to drive in 70 runs next year? That's like, those are the responses I'm getting. It's kind of like,
he's a few of those.
He's the biggest run producer. Like how, like, what are you going to do? Like get somebody worse? And I'm like, no, like it's hard to find somebody worse. He's a negative WAR player. I was surprised. I don't understand.
Not good on defense and doesn't hit very well.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we fighting here for?
Yeah, like he would be an okay hitter, like if he played second base and played defense. Like, I mean, it's 17 homers and 70 RBIs, but like he doesn't get on base. He doesn't hit for enough power. Like, no. Like, no. It's just not. Now, I think my first comment was like, it's an easy non-tender. That's like for me. And like what I think about them. Like they might pay him and keep him because like they feel like it or whatever. I just think that would be dumb because he's like, the bottom line is like, regardless of what else they do or did or want to get, he's not worth the ARB cost. He's not worth $5 million because he's not good.
Not. Yeah, it's pretty sad to even think that people are trying to argue this point. And I did see that response of, well, who's gonna, if you do that, you have to replace 17 home runs and 90 RBIs. And I was like, and like it's not like we're trying to replace, Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper or literally anybody that's hitting, with a fairly decent WRC plus here. We're talking about a guy who is below average, doesn't play great defense. If he was a catcher, he'd be a pretty decent catcher. The problem is he's not, and he's not going to be like, I know that Jose Abreu got better on defense as he got older. Andrew Vaughn's not growing 5 inches to catch those, high throws.
Yeah.
Not.
No, he didn't live up to the expectations. That's okay to say. But that doesn't mean that you have to like prolong like the issue, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Getz, like I feel like Getz probably non-tenders him personally, but like, like it is the White Sox, so who knows? Like Sheets, I wasn't even considering. Like he's done. Like that's that's not happening. How about what if you have 2 first basemen with OPSs under 700? Then you can turn him into one guy that's got a 1400 OPS.
Yeah, I think that's how it works.
So the other part of this is Tim Elko. So like I was being accused of, like whatever, like we're FutureSox guys. Like I'm not the Tim Elko guy. Like I've like pushed back against Tim Elko. I've never even ranked him. But like it's worth a shot at this point. Like I mean, why would you not try? He's in AAA. Like let's see.
I have
Let's see what
also
you got,
not
kid.
ranked him, but that doesn't mean that I'm not at the front of his bandwagon.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, like I just haven't been because I had questions about like the power and the walk rate too. But like at this point, like who cares? Like it's his turn. Like yeah, let's go. Let's see.
Yeah, have you been watching the White Sox? I mean, what about what Andrew Vaughn has done over his career with the White Sox makes you think, we should pay that guy $5 million a year instead of league minimum? Nothing. I can't see one single reason why at a position like that you wouldn't at least try and get somebody that can hit 25 and come up with some clutch hits because, Tim Elko has been known to do that. So I'm all for trying that. And I would much rather spend league minimum on a guy that I think could put up better numbers than Vaughn, or at least comparable, than pay him $5 million to be a liability on defense as well,
Yeah. Well, one of these or no, it's not David. It's Vince that said like, what veteran are they bringing in? Like it doesn't matter. Like to me, I don't care what veteran they're bringing in. Like I think I said on the last show, like some sort of veteran lefty hitter, like for DH, and then Elko can play for like fine. Like they're guys like they're gonna try to get the number 1 pick in 2026. Like that's like what this is. Like next year's gonna be bad too, So, and it doesn't mean like it has to be like the very worst record ever, but it's probably like a bottom 3 record in the league still. So, sorry.
117
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was that good from June on. But like, okay.
Yeah, but see, here is the problem. And this has been the problem with him basically this entire time, is that you get that little taster that you think next year he's going to be good because he figured it out. And then he comes back the next year and it's the same thing over again. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'd be surprised at this point. I just don't expect him to become a useful first baseman for an entire season because seems to be pretty streaky, and he does disappear for months at a time. So
yeah.
Yes, Beef Loaf, we
I
are
know.
being a
Yeah.
little bit mean, I guess. Your favorite Andre Vaughn.
I just don't get it at all. Like I was very surprised when people are like, "What are you gonna do instead, idiot?" Like sign Dan Vogelbach. It's like maybe, yeah, sure. Like
I
I mean,
mean,
like
you
yeah,
know,
like I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I guess if you, I mean, at least with Danny Burgers, you have a shot at like 35 to 40 home runs, especially in that park.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, at least there's that.
yeah. I mean, Miguel Vargas
So
could play first. When we were just talking about Lenny Sosa, you think Lenny Sosa could outproduce Vaughn?
I think he could put up at least those numbers.
Yeah,
You know, over a
15,
full season.
15
Why
homers
not?
and no walks. He might be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much you know, his MO, and he's gotten a little bit better on taking walks, just like Andrew Vaughn has a little bit.
Okay. Well, we can be done with this. I
Yeah,
was
that's good.
interested. Like I was arguing with about Andrew Vaughn like while football was on. It was kind of interesting.
So Chris Getz made some comments, and it's not really anything earth shattering or anything that we didn't basically know already. You have any thoughts on the recent? I guess you could say is the last bit of talking that Chris Getz is going to do until the manager does indeed get hired.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, seems like managers probably coming from the outside. I've heard it's like 20 names. I don't know how many of those we're going to hear about. I mean, Bob Nightingale had like kind of a weird throwaway mention of Carlos Beltran, who like I'd be in favor of that. He wasn't like, "Hey, the White Sox are interested in Carlos Beltran." He said like the White Sox should be interested in Carlos Beltran. Okay, add him. Hope maybe he's one of the 20. You know, I don't know. Did we talk last week about the guy Levine mentioned? It's like Clayton McCullough from the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
McCullough. No, we
Yeah.
did not. That
Okay.
came
So
out afterward.
yeah, so that was like Tuesday or so. I mean, Levine basically wrote about him like he was the favorite, but then it was kind of mentioned that like I think that dude's dad is like a longtime scout that very likely knows Bruce, you know. So there's like all that stuff going on, and then there's the Skip Schumacher stuff, like where it's kind of being said that like Skip Schumacher doesn't really want to come here, but like, I mean, I mean,
Shocker.
when the alternative is living in Cincinnati, Ohio, though, like I just that doesn't seem that great either. Personally, I mean, that's a better
Skyline
team.
Chili's not tipping the scale
Yeah.
for you.
No, the noodles are weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, like, um, but no, yeah, I mean, other than that, it's like manager, they're really putting it out there that like they're gonna fix the analytics department, whatever that means, right? Getz mentioned it. It's in the Reinsdorf manifesto that you're gonna read. So like it seems like analytics is the area this offseason where like the revamp is coming. I still want like a hitting guy personally, you know. Getz mentioned the international changes that we talked about on the last show with Keller, and Luis Silverio is also like he was like a field guy, so he was like one of their prospects. Obviously, you know that. And then he like kind of went into a coaching role. So I don't know if like David Keller's going to be like the organization guy, and like Silverio's like the on the ground guy, because it is weird having like a white guy like as your international as your guy on the ground like for international. Like it's usually a either a Hispanic or, you know, I
I mean,
think
unless
I
you're
think a
AJ
couple of
Preller.
people hired Asian guys. Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but yeah, no. So we'll see. Like you said, nothing really earth shattering. I don't know. Was there anything else in their mention that you kind of took
Not
away?
not really. You know, I look at it and you know, I have questions. I don't think that there's necessarily a topic that's there that that he mentioned wasn't something that didn't expect him to say. I expected him to say all that stuff. But my question is if you know something's been a problem for years, why and Jerry was quoted as saying, "We're going to hire Chris Getz because he knows about our operations here and we don't want to waste a year." So knowing that Chris Getz knows where the deficiencies are, why did it take a year to make these changes? And I talked to you about this before the beginning of the season. When I mentioned, that Chris Getz said that Jerry might, give them some money to shore up some of these areas. And my thought was, well, what these problems are. So why wasn't this agreed to right off the bat so you could change these things right off the bat? Like, why did we wait a calendar year to figure out that, oh, we need to, improve our development, down on the, in the minor leagues? I just don't understand why it
Yeah.
would take that long.
Well, he made a couple of baseball ops hires like pretty quickly, like the Bannister one and Gene Watson and Josh Barfield, and it was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. It took I don't know, like, I mean, I had heard that they wouldn't part ways with Marco Patti like until recently because his contract is up. Like, I just think there's all sorts of stuff like that under Jerry where it's just like, he has 6 months left, like, let's do it then type of thing. When it's, I mean, like, Chris Getz didn't wake up one day and realize that he wanted a new director of international scouting. Like, I'm pretty sure he knew, like, when he took over and then started, like, releasing all of Marco Patti's players. It's just stuff like this where Jerry holds you back. So, I mean, like, even with, like, the analytics department, like, what does that mean? Does that mean you hire one person to run it and he gets to hire as many people as he wants? Does it mean you hire 5 people? Like, I don't, I just, like, I don't know what that means. And then once they're done with it, are they still, like, behind every other organization? At least everybody else in the division, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you're hiring, and even if you are allowed to hire a lot of people, it doesn't, unless they're coming from a forward-thinking organization. I don't think it really is gonna move mountains. It's not gonna change things that much. It has to be like as we've talked about numerous times, it has to be top down. You can't just be piecemealing guys in here and there. It's got to be organization wide. It can't just
Yeah.
be, one guy here and one guy there and expect it to change everything.
Well, and
It's got to be philosophy.
since it's, like, kind of pushed out there in the forefront, though, like, do you think we're gonna hear about it? Like, are we getting a press release or, like, a beat writer that's like, they've hired this guy from here and he's the head of the director of analytics? Or is it just gonna be like, oh yeah, we fixed the department, like, in this off season? Like, I don't know. I mean, they're putting it out there like some, like, major name is coming, but none of us have ever heard of any of these people.
Yeah, also one of the things, is that, and like, I get it. I'm not a minority shareholder of the White Sox. I mean, Jerry doesn't owe me any explanations of who's getting hired, and I don't, necessarily expect to find out everybody that's been hired. But I mean, for crying out loud, like, transparency, like, show, and as has been said, the White Sox fans deserve better. So let's start that with a little bit more transparency over, who's getting hired, what kind of contracts they have. So we can at least say, okay, this guy's got a 2-year contract. And after year 1, if we're like, yeah, this guy sucks, let's, like, at
Yeah.
least we only know that we only have a year to watch this, for,
Well, that's where, like, one of the things, like, even with last year, like, I had heard some negative things about Gene Watson when they hired him, but the one thing that I was happy about was, like, his title. He has a real title that other teams give. Like, they hired Gene Watson as the director of player personnel. So he's running pro scouting, right? Like, okay, great. So now we know, like, oh, who's at the top of the pyramid on, like, pro scouting? Gene Watson. Where before it was like, oh, these 5 guys kind of do pro scouting and 3 of them report to Kenny and 2 of them report to Rick and we don't know who did what. Like, no, now it's Gene Watson. Like, it's Chris Getz, but, like, under him it's Gene Watson. Like, that he's the one that recommended Miguel Vargas. At least I'm going to assume so because he's the director of player personnel. So, like, so that, and then, like, obviously, like, Bannister's title's a little bit strange, but, like, he's running pitching. Like, he's in charge of pitching org wide. The other assistant general manager, Jin Wong, is doing contracts. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? So, like, maybe more of that would be good. I mean, look, Chris Getz has done some of the things that we would hope that somebody else would do as far as, like, bringing people in from the outside. Like, there's a lot of new people. The problem is that it's Chris Getz doing it, and like nobody trusts them for that, and like nobody should probably. So
Yeah.
the last part of the statement, kind of really that you mentioned, the not going heavy in free agency thing. He did. I don't know if it was off the record or if it was like mentioned to somebody, but he kind of highlighted the Eric Fetty deal as something that he foresees, like stuff like that. He thinks they'll do again. So which I mean makes sense. We've gone over where the holes are, right? There's holes everywhere, but like they literally have a left fielder and a center fielder as of right now, and they probably have somebody to play third, and they probably have catchers. So, first base DH, maybe an infielder for second, maybe a right fielder. I don't know, but and a bunch of young pitching. So there will be signings, but I would think it's similar to last year, where it's like of the Eric Fetty variety and taking a chance on bullpen pieces. I think I said this here and I said it on other podcasts. Like if you have money to spend, I would spend money on the bullpen so that you could trade those guys. But I would actually get good relievers. Like
Yeah. I mean, we saw what happened
not
this year,
John Brebias.
so
Yes. But even like the
yeah.
part of the Royals thing was like Aroldis Chapman for Cole Ragans. That's very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get somebody like that to, I mean, like the whole thing with Chapman though was that the only reason he signed with the Royals is because nobody else wanted to sign him because he had some bad hitches in his mechanics, and the Royals fixed that, which allowed them to trade him for something that was actually a useful piece. Now, like, that's the thing, is that you have to hope that whoever you pick up, Bannister can, maximize his value. So when you do trade him, you can get a decent return on it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned like David Robertson, not him specifically, but somebody like that. Even if it's like 10 million, you're the closer, and you're going to be traded July 15th. Like
Yeah.
something.
I mean,
like
I know you said not him, but per my understanding is that David Robertson absolutely hated being here. So
Yeah, I don't think he's ever coming back.
I don't think he's ever coming back.
They gave him $46 million though.
Yeah, you'd figure that he'd be at least okay with that part of it.
Yeah. And then he went
So,
back to the Yankees and shriveled up again in big moments like he always does.
yeah, and he also got injured, which he has done fairly often as well. He's pretty good this year. So,
I hated that
here we
offseason.
go.
I hated that offseason, and it was
Vince.
and it was highlighted. See, I don't necessarily disagree with him because I want Baltimore to go down early, so then they trade their prospects for Garrett Crochet.
Yeah, but you know that's not going to happen because Fisher's never going to trade any of his prospects ever.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what his deal is, but he just will not change it.
Mike Elias, yes.
Elias, yeah. So this was something that I wanted to bring up here right quick. You fire all the scouting and then what? Hire one head of scouting. Yeah, that's actually like kind of a question that I had, is that you just launched what, 5 or 6 scouts?
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that they're any good, but you have to fill those positions. Or are we talking about going to the virtual scouting model that personally I'm not a fan of, because I think that there is a definite advantage to boots on the ground and being able to see how players handle things emotionally, as well as just looking at TrackMan data and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't see Jerry ever going to that. I really don't. That's like one good thing about Jerry. I don't think he could ever be sold on the idea that you're just gonna scout with data. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're one of the teams that like starts scooping up like fired scouts. I could see the White Sox doing that.
I would be all for that if they, I see, like, this is information that we do not have, at least readily available. You have to really, really, really search for it. And even if you look for it, you still can't find it most of the time. Is what scouts are scouting guys that get signed and become something. Like, trying to find that information is like a needle in a haystack,
It is. That's why I always like on our draft tracker. I always put the signing scout just so like we could give them credit down the road. And it's usually in like old Baseball America handbooks. The signing scout is usually listed, right? But then that doesn't give any credit to some guy in A ball that fixed the hitch in a swing, and unlocked a guy, So it doesn't really say anything on the development side.
Yeah, I'm just that's one thing. Like I should probably I never get the handbook. I get the downloadable version, and I just never think to even
Yeah.
look at that thing once I
Right.
give it the
Once
once
it's
over.
mhm. Yeah, I have like probably 15 years worth of handbooks on the shelf behind me. I could go back
Hmm.
and see in some cases. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like one of those things. Like JJ Lally will always have Noah Schultz, regardless of like now he's a cross checker for the White Sox, but he was the area guy for Schultz, the area guy for Wolko. Um, he's local. So
Did he do? He did Indiana as well.
he's not Montgomery now.
No, I wasn't thinking Montgomery. I was thinking like Schweitzer and
Yeah.
the Indiana guys like
No, I think that was
Niedelo and all those guys.
somebody that's no longer there. That's now I forgot his name, but
Hmm.
he was he's now the pitching coach at Ball State. The guy that I'm thinking of,
Oh, right.
who
Yeah, I
was
remember
who
that
he
move. I
was
don't
like
remember.
the Indiana scout. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I know that I have been advised that it might cause some vomiting, but I'm going to go ahead and read this Jerry letter here, so we can kind of run through and dissect this thing. I know that we've talked about a little bit of it already, but there's a couple of other little things in here. Two White Sox fans, by all measures, our on-field performance this season was a failure. As leader of this organization, that is my ultimate responsibility. There are no excuses except for all of them that I'm going to give. I want to thank you for continuing to support the team throughout what was an embarrassing season. You all deserve better. This season's performance was completely unacceptable, and the varying reactions and emotions from our fan base are completely understandable. While embracing new ideas and outside perspectives, we will do everything we can to fix this for 2025 and the future. This will include further development of players on our current roster, development within our system, evaluating the trade and free agent markets to improve our ball club, and new leadership for our analytics department, allowing us to elevate and improve every process within our organization with a focus for competing for championships. In fact, change has already been happening in our baseball operations group throughout the past year. When named general manager in 2023, Chris Getz and his staff immediately began conducting a top to bottom evaluation of our existing operations. Chris is rebuilding the foundation of our baseball operations department with key personnel changes already happening in player development, international scouting, professional scouting, and analytics. Some of these changes will be apparent quickly, while others will need time to produce the results we all want to see at the major league level. Our organization's most important decision in the coming months is to evaluate and identify a new manager and leadership voice for our organization. Chris is well underway with this search. He has identified the key attributes and preferences for our next manager and has already begun an exhaustive search with a wide range of candidates to lead the White Sox in the clubhouse and dugout. Even in the worst of seasons, where at times I felt like nothing was going right, there were bright spots that provided reasons for optimism about our future. The overall health of our organization is improving. Our minor league rankings show this growth. The Class AA Birmingham Barons won the Southern League title, while Class A Kannapolis reached the finals of the Carolina League, and our organization has built an impressive future pool of very talented prospects. Whether said out loud or written in a statement, words are easy. I understand we need to show our progress through action, and I commit to you that everyone associated with the White Sox is focused on returning this organization to the level of success we all expect and desire. Above everything else, I am a fan of baseball, of Chicago, and of the White Sox. Every loss this season, every blown save, every defensive miscue, every shutout, every sweep hurt. It was a long, painful season for us all. We recognize on a daily basis that it is our responsibility to earn your trust, attention, time, and support. We vow to make to take that approach daily as we put the work in this offseason to be better. We owe it to each and every one of you. Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like fine that he like put out something because he never speaks or puts out anything. But I mean, you could just make a giant fart noise if you want after it because like it's just like it is like it's okay, like that's fine. I'm sure he'll talk like when they hire a manager. He did last time. And the time before that he picked the manager. So, but like who
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, the analytics thing was brought up again. So that's clearly in there. There are like changes made to baseball ops already, which Getz has, like they've done that. He's got to spend money, and if it's not going to be on players, it's got to be on like infrastructure. But then ultimately, like at some point, like it has to be on players. Like,
yeah, I mean, at some point, like he, as he basically says in this open letter here, that it is more, that talk is cheap. So at some point, we need to see these changes and see them actually work. Because I can sit there and say that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and hire somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the results are going to actually come to fruition as I envision them to, because we all expected the, this first, the rebuild to help things and for us to get better. And it just didn't ever matriculate to that, So, yeah, I don't know.
I was a little surprised that something came out. I mean, nobody cares though. Like it's just like just nobody cares what that guy has to say because his actions speak like much louder than words. I think it came out that came out Sunday, so it was like NFL Sunday. Like I listened to the radio stations today for a little bit, like when I was just commuting, and they didn't even touch it. Like they're doing it tomorrow because it's Bear. Like they talk Bears today. Like it's just like okay, Jerry.
Well, it's like doing, like the sweep it under the carpet announcements on Fridays, knowing
Right.
that it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
going to disappear over the weekend.
Friday news dumps. Yes.
Yep. So
I will say, like reading that, like it does. I don't know. Like I would be shocked if manager was anyone internal. It seems like some beat writers and some others have kind of like tried to keep the Grady Sizemore dream alive for some reason. I think Grady Sizemore will very likely be on the next staff and he'll be coaching outfielders or doing something, right? But I think this is like a clear opportunity to go outside, and I think they will.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we've said it before though, so it's kind of one of those things that, unfortunately, like I'll believe it when I see it, just because I've seen this movie before, and
I mean, they went outside last time, so like.
Well, Chris Getz.
Right.
I'm just saying with the majority of their hires. I mean, yes, they went with Pedro Grifol. Yes, I understand, but I'm just, all the rest of the hires, plus, the fact that we've heard that, and, of course, Chris Getz is going to give lip service because that was his guy for the next couple of weeks. But Grady Sizemore is a inside candidate, and then, Sergio Santos has thrown his hat in the ring, which I personally do not mind. And, like I could understand why he would like the job versus other guys that, have already been managers, say like a Skip Schumacher, where there are going to be like probably 3 other jobs available in Major League Baseball to manage. And I would say probably all of them are more attractive than here. So, I mean, like, I can't, as far as Skip Schumacher goes, he was the manager of the year, and then literally every single one of his top pitchers in his rotation went down, and the team just underachieved because they had no pitching. So it was a surprise to absolutely no one. So I mean, while it would probably end up being a decent hire for the White Sox, I just don't know why he would come here.
Yeah, and I don't know what's open for him, but I also don't know that means that you like jump into the White Sox just because that's the opening. Like he could take a year off, he could do whatever. Apparently, he's from California and like wouldn't mind going back there. I don't think there's going to be a California job open anytime soon. So,
Well, we don't have to think about Oakland because, well, I mean, I guess technically Oakland still will be in California, just at a minor league stadium.
He's too much money for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, watch it be this like Clayton McAuliffe guy this whole time, and Bruce nailed it. That would be good.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't know anything about him, but if it's a Dodger, like I'm fine. That's fine. He did. I tried to look because he was like a Indians farmhand, but he didn't cross over with Barfield at all because Barfield, like I always forget, like was a Padres prospect that got traded to the Indians, so they didn't cross over at all. But then he did start his coaching career in the minors with Toronto, under Mark Shapiro, who, obviously like all these guys know. And I do believe that Clayton McAuliffe, I'm going to go McAuliffe, I think.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, he was Home Alone. He was a minor league teammate of Grady Sizemore. So,
I mean, yeah. So, are you thinking that Grady Sizemore sticks around as a Major League Baseball coach?
he might get a real title this time. Outfield instructor. I mean, that totally seemed like Pedro being like, I have all my guys. I don't need anybody else. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to give him this innocuous title and he's on your staff now. So good luck to you. Because I don't even think he was coaching outfield. Somebody else was, I thought. I think it's Jason Bourgeois was coaching outfield.
Yes, Jason Bourgeois.
Yeah. And all the White Sox coaches apparently are in a holding pattern, according to, I think, Van Schouwen said that, I think.
Schouwen, yeah. Which, so actually I wanted to ask you this because, I know, do you think that if it was a deal breaker for somebody like a Skip Schumacher, if he came and he's like, I absolutely do not want Ethan Katz, and he said he wanted a different pitching coach, do you think that that's a deal breaker for the White Sox? Because we know how loyal they are to people.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I think it depends on like what Brian Bannister thinks, right? Like, I think Brian Bannister has a pitching coach in Chicago that he knows that he can work with. I think there's a lot of people that don't think Ethan Katz is that good. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, he seems fine. Yeah. I mean, I assume Katz is going to be here. Do you think people are kicking down the door to hire some of these other coaches? You think Marcus Timms is in high demand? No. Yeah, because like they're in a holding pattern. And there's also no jobs. Like, I don't know. What did you? So I think like the Shapiro and Ross Atkins of the Blue Jays talk either Tuesday or Wednesday, and I don't think they've said Schneider's back for sure. Mattingly's the bench coach. I think Pittsburgh there could be like a change potentially, and then any of these playoff teams that underachieve, who knows? Like, like that could. AJ Preller fires a manager every year, so you could have San Diego open potentially. Like if the Yankees went down in the first round, you could have an opening there. So I don't really know, but there will probably be more. For a minute today, I thought we were gonna have like a real president of baseball ops opening, but that was about 90 seconds.
Yeah, that lasted. We heard about Farhan Zaidi getting launched, and then immediately it came out that Buster Posey was going to take over for him.
Yeah, that would be like what hiring. He's better
AJ.
No, I mean he's better than Jose Abreu because it's somebody. It's like it would be like if you hired somebody that recently like left, right? It would have been like if you hired Frank Thomas to run baseball ops in like 2008, like or something, like.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was kind of blindsided by that one. I wasn't expecting them to I was expecting someone with actual experience doing this.
Yeah.
I was pretty surprised that it
Maybe
was
he'll be
Posey.
really good. I mean, they have a GM too, so like, is that guy safe? Like, I mean, I know like I had heard that Buster Posey was around and had the owner's ear and stuff. Like, so I'm sure Farhan knew this was coming when, like, you know, Buster Posey was like moving his stuff into Farhan Zaidi's office like a couple of months ago. You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, like it. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm sure the man's getting paid and he'll take a some sort of like baseball advisor job somewhere.
Yeah,
He can
probably.
go back to the Dodgers. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I think he probably figured it out when he is walking back to his office and he saw the maintenance guy switching out the name tag
Yeah,
on the
or
wall.
like when
You know
Buster Posey signed Matt Chapman to an extension.
that was had to be like
Yeah,
some sort of a like, oh,
yeah.
maybe I
This is
should
like,
watch out.
yeah. Do you know if was Posey a Boris guy? I feel like he probably was.
I can look that up.
Because that would be interesting if Buster Posey calls up Boris. Because Matt Chapman's a Boris guy. Like, Boris guys never do that. They never sign like that. You know.
CAA Jeff
Okay, so
Barry.
no.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I wonder if he just called up Boris and was like, "Hey, we're willing to give him more money than anyone's going to this offseason. We think he should stay here." And then they took it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. I would imagine that ownership probably started to get a little bit aggravated when all the big names
Yeah, they never go there.
all shun San Francisco.
Yeah,
All of them. So I would imagine that that's probably kind of what
yeah,
like started that whole process in the.
yeah,
So I shouldn't. I should also, since we're talking about outside baseball, I should bring up that today Pete Rose passed away, the Major League all-time hits leader, all-time bets leader,
yeah.
has passed away. He was like 80 something. How
83,
old?
I believe.
83.
Yeah, we need that score. The 670, the score 83 drop. That 83. Yeah,
83.
yeah,
Yeah, we should also, for just for fun, Dikembe Mutombo also passed today from brain cancer. So rest in peace, gentlemen. You think
yeah. The thing I told
Pete
you that.
Rose gets in or no?
Probably. Yeah, they'll probably do it now. Yeah. I mean, I told you off air, like, these things usually come in threes, so I'm bracing for another sports legend here.
83. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it was brought up earlier in the chat, but I figure I will bring it up now. Is that the since we last streamed, the Birmingham Barons did in fact win the Double A championship, as Jerry noted.
Yeah. How many do you think he can name anybody on the team? Noah Schultz,
Uh,
probably.
yeah, that's probably it. That's
Probably
literally.
though. Schultz,
But
like,
to be fair, half like 75% of those guys on that
yeah,
roster for the championship team,
yeah. Lots
most
of
White Sox fans couldn't either. So
lots of new dudes hung on and got that done. I will say before you continue, I wrote a piece on the Arizona Fall League, and like, it's the first time I really noticed how well DJ Gladney did in Birmingham. He was good for the Barons.
he did way better in Birmingham than I was expecting. I was actually very surprised that he did get promoted because just things kind of seemed to stagnate in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
And when he got promoted, he just picked up and actually, kind of picked it up a little bit in Birmingham compared to Winston-Salem. So I don't know if he was just bored or what the deal was, but yeah, he had a pretty productive time while he was there.
He went to the pitcher's park and put up a 130 something WRC plus for a while.
You think Jerry knows who Riku Nishida is?
No.
Certainly couldn't pronounce it, at least.
No way. Not a chance. He might know that they drafted like some little Japanese hitter that slaps the ball. Like, it maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But
yeah. So I'm just going to throw this out there. If you see, these are the kind of podcasts that I listen to. when I'm listening to podcasts, but there is a podcast called The Show Before the Show. If you do not subscribe to it or listen to it, it is a minor league centric podcast run by the guys who do MLB Pipeline, but it is like the, not, it's a little bit more deep diving than MLB Pipeline.
Yeah, it's not
So,
Callis and Mayo, right? Like, yeah.
So, Kurt, a friend of the program, Kurt Bloom, the voice for the Barons, was on the episode that got released today, I think. It's well worth a listen, so you can hear what Kurt has to say about the expectations for that team once everybody kind of got promoted and started moving on to AAA and the majors. And it's pretty much what I said about the Barons. It was pretty crazy. So, yes, Heimblum is taking over the Cardinals in a weird arrangement.
Yeah, so like Mozeliak is running things next year, and Bloom's doing like the minors. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Who makes the first round pick? Heimblum, or does Mozeliak come in like Kenny? one last pick.
Conor McGregor walk straight in,
like
the pick.
Are you a Hamilton guy or no? So there's like that in Hamilton.
I'm not.
I know Beef is. It's like that skit where he says one last time. It's like the George Washington skit. I could see Mozeliak doing that, like Kenny Williams does. He just like walks in and decides to make a decision out of nowhere.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. We watched it for 10 years here, so if it happened somewhere else, I would not be surprised at all. Yeah, I've never watched Hamilton. I don't think. If I did, it was when I was a little kid.
No, it's new. The play.
Yeah, is it new or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was written like
it's not new, but you were not a kid. It's
fair enough.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Maybe I'm thinking of 1776. That might be it, which was also something that my father forced me to watch when I was a little kid, and I was not having any of it.
Yeah,
yuck. My exposure to Hamilton over the last few years was Ryan Burr.
Yes,
and Billy
Ryan
Hamilton.
Burr and
was.
Well, no, I think originally it was too. Ryan Burr and Ian Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was.
But I enjoyed the Billy Hamilton one. The pictures a little bit more though. They were a little bit funnier.
What do you think about duels to settle arguments in 2024?
I guess it depends on the like what ultimately like I think that there would have to be like tiers that would rank to where you were actually dueling to the death to make the if you're going to have a to the death kind of duel, like the stakes have to be pretty high, I would think.
Like whether to DFA Andrew Vaughn or not.
Or
non-tender him anyways.
I mean, I think for that one, maybe a caning. might be sufficient.
God.
Oh man. So speaking of the AFL, so you dropped that article on the AFL roster. So as will happen with the AFL, is entirely possible that we could see one or two of those names drop off before the AFL starts. But if you guys are looking to see who's in the AFL this year, if you have not seen the announcement, if you're looking for a little write-up on each guy, James got you covered there. That is on FutureSox.net for you to check out.
So were any of the names like interesting for you? Because like I guess to me, like looking at it, like one of the big reasons like you go is like if you were hurt, right, and you need to make up for lost time, like sometimes they showcase guys, and then the other time is like if they need like 40-man protection. Peyton Paulette is like none of those things. So I found that one interesting. Like even like when I was writing it, I'm like, yeah, I mean, he threw like 80 some innings because he had a bunch of innings as a starter. So he doesn't necessarily need innings if he's staying in the pen. So yeah, I mean, it might just be like, hey, like let's throw you in this prospect circuit against the best guys because we're going to try to get you to the big league. So it might just be that, and that's fine. But that's just not the approach with like some of the other guys, it seems.
Now we're talking first base duel: Andrew Vaughn versus Gavin Sheets. Oh, that's fantastic.
Sheets would miss though.
I think it would end up in a draw, and both of them must be caned.
Both of them would shoot directly into the ground, I think.
So Peyton Paulette, I feel the reason why they're sending him is because they want him to face the barrage of bats that are out in the Arizona Fall League. Pitching has always been in the fall leagues, always kind of like hit or miss. And this year in particular, most people are saying it's like one of the weakest pitching classes that they've seen in years. I think that's just for the thing that you don't have like a Jackson Jobe or, you know, like some real big name in the pitching side of things. So you know, it's generally bat heavy. And I think that's probably I'm interested to see how Paulette does against some of the bigger bats that are out there. I know that there's some big Guardians and Mariners bats that are going to be out there that are, you know, some
for sure, yeah,
pretty awesome names. So,
well, and even like Adler and AHT, I think are both Rule 5 eligible, so they make sense to like get a look. But no, it's kind of like you said. Like, I mean, pitching is usually like an afterthought in that league, just because like you don't send your pitching prospects because they're already like maxed out on innings or whatever. I mean, we really like Grant Taylor. We think he has a lot of upside, obviously. But if that's the best pitcher in the AFL, I mean, I think that kind of tells you, right? Like the level of, I mean, he should be one of the top pitchers, sure, right? But I think everybody's kind of said like, oh, Grant Taylor's probably the best pitcher there. And if Grant Taylor's the best pitcher there after throwing, what he throw 18 innings this year, like 3 in Arizona and 16
yeah.
more in Kannapolis, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like 17.2
yeah,
or something.
and like he's nasty, but if that's the best guy there, then yeah, I would say it's a little pitching deficient probably.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of guys that, you know, that are, I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to go look at the rosters again. There's like one or two guys that are pretty big deal, but they're coming off down years. So, and Andrew Painter is a possibility to show up there, but he hasn't been announced as a guy that's going to be there yet.
Yeah.
So,
did you see Andrew? Who I forgot who. I think it was it the Jesse Rogers piece that mentioned the White Sox asked for Andrew Painter in the Crochet talks? I think, and they like Philly like turned it down at the time.
Yeah, I mean that's fine, and I'm fine with it, to be honest. You know, like, I mean, yeah, Andrew Painter would be a great get, I think. But
yeah,
again, he's coming off Tommy John,
and he's taking a long time to get back.
Yeah, he is taking his sweet time. So who exactly knows what he's going to come back as? You know, we've seen this one as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you got anything else pressing?
Well, so something that was out there was just like the Garrett Crochet comments. What do you make of that? Because I know
extension.
I know what I think. Yeah, I mean he's public now, where he would like consider it or whatever. Like, yeah, that sounds great, but I just don't really see it.
I don't either. And him also throwing his hat in the ring for Grady Sizemore. Good for you, pal. Thanks for your input. Yeah. Enjoy your time in Boston or wherever the heck you get traded.
Well, so the thing is, I don't think they'll pay him anywhere close to like what he would want, because at this point, like if Garrett Crochet is this guy, he's getting $200 million, so there's no reason for him to take less than that with the White Sox. But I also think that like if you're Chris Getz in this front office and you trust what you're doing, and you think Noah Schultz and you know and Hagen Smith are like coming, like like you might think that you need the prospect return that Garrett Crochet is going to bring. Because like I've seen a lot of people kind of say like, oh yeah, just bring back Garrett Crochet because he's awesome, and like I get it, but where are they going to get bats from? They just they can't
I
hit
don't
at
know.
all. Pitching is not their problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that game changer bat right now. I mean, it's entirely possible that Colson Montgomery could become a bat like that. But he's going to the fall league because he did not have that year this year, and need to see a step
Yeah.
out of him at some point. And just because time's going by doesn't necessarily mean that Colson Montgomery is going to get better. He has to take that next step. So
We didn't even talk about that. Like I thought that was interesting that all of a sudden he was just like because the original roster that we had Sean Burke on it plus the other guys, right?
yeah,
Well, and maybe no Adler. I think Adler was like kind of a late ad for whatever reason. And then Colson. So I think Colson got hot, and then they were like, okay, now we're going to send you to the fall league. Like I wonder if he was terrible in September if they still would have sent him because last year when he went, he was also one of the best prospects in the league. Wasn't great, and then won the Fall Stars MVP. This time, I think they're hoping that he's actually like one of the best players there.
it gets the Adam Engel MVP award.
Oh my god! Do you remember? Do you remember Luis Roberts Arizona Fall League? It was
Vaguely.
like it was insane.
Yeah, I don't remember the numbers that he put up.
Yeah.
I don't
So he
remember
was
looking at it.
he was unreal. That was the first time that he destroyed Double A, I think, and then he went
Wasn't
to
it abbreviated though? He wasn't there for very long, or did
yeah
he
because
play the entire?
I don't know, but he was awesome. Like his fall league numbers were ridiculous, and then I think that's the offseason that he signed, and then he was like on the team.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't remember the numbers though. I remember him being there. I
Yeah,
just don't remember. Like that's a black hole in my memory.
I remember him being very good, like in the Arizona Fall League. I don't know how easy that is to like access, but you know.
So I can get streams from like 2 or 3 years ago. I think that's as far back as the streams go. The numbers, if you go to the AFL's
Yeah, they probably have it right. Yeah.
actual site, like on MLB.com, you can go back through stats and by year, I think.
Right. Oh yeah, baseball reference has it too.
Oh, they have it, yeah.
They do have it. Yeah, I just have to like find it, but that's fine. Yeah, Arizona Fall League hit 800 OPS. So,
Yeah, that's not bad.
but I don't know how many games he played in 18 of the games. So yeah, a little bit abbreviated.
Yeah, it's like half,
Yeah,
roughly, a little bit
yeah,
over half,
yeah.
maybe.
So I remember him being pretty good there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about like playoff predictions and who wins it all. You and I haven't really had this discussion before.
Not at all.
But I am a variance trumps all kind of guy, and I don't really know how anybody predicts the playoffs because I have no idea what's going to happen. Like the team that hits the most homers will probably win it all.
Yeah, Brewers. I'll say Brewers just cuz. Why
Just
not?
cause.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Variance.
Who got who got in late? It's usually like one of these teams that like fights their way in, and then they're
Well, obviously
yeah.
the Mets and Braves were very late.
Yeah.
They eliminated the Diamondbacks today in their doubleheader.
That's true.
Yeah, the
It
Astros
won't
probably are.
it won't be an AL Central team.
Nope.
So I will go with David Dombrowski's Phillies.
I'll take it. Oh, Vince says he grabbed San Diego at plus 1,200.
Plus 1,200. Yeah.
I mean,
The thing is, like, it's hard to pick anybody that has like this first series to get through. But I mean, those teams have been getting there. It is kind of like I don't know. Like, what do you think? Is this year 4 or year 3 of this system? And I'm sure like as soon as a couple of the good teams go down in the first round, we're going to be hearing about how they need to change the system again because all the like good teams lose right away.
Well, I mean, we've heard that the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think this is year 3.
Yeah, it's
If
coming.
it's not year 3, it's year 4.
If that
I
happens,
think it's year 3.
If that happens, it's coming.
Yeah, we've heard it. I want to say at least last year. Maybe
Yeah.
it was the year before. But we've definitely heard people complaining that the best teams lost because they had a bye or whatever.
Especially if the Yankees go down right away.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be glorious. But hopefully, ref's not in here because I don't want to answer that one.
Yeah, right.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and hanging out, everybody. We appreciate that. FutureSox.net, you can find James' AFL preview that just dropped. You can also find Sleepy Harold's tribute to the Birmingham Barons championship run in the most recent trending on the farm. Thanks, Beef. Appreciate it. At FutureSox on the X. My name is Ian Eskridge at Daily White Sox. He is James Fox at JamesFox917. If you are listening to this in podcast form, know that we do it on YouTube every Monday night during high school football season, Monday at 8 p.m. And then not during high school football season, we do Sundays at 8 p.m. But for the near future, we are here at Monday at 8 p.m. every week on YouTube and on twitch.tv/FutureSox. Thanks so much for coming and hang out, guys. We appreciate you so much. Without you guys, we'd be pretty bored, and we appreciate it. All right, you guys have a great night, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.